it's a bit like data in that it's so broad that that it's kind of a troubling label, and you end up in this situation where, like, in a big company, someone will make a segmentation, and then someone else will make a segmentation solving two totally different problems, and because they're both labeled segmentation, there'll be some kind of conflict over who's responsible for segmentation. So I think at the core, it's just choosing, grouping people into things where they have something in common, to go, this is a group of people with these characteristics that are interesting. There's a lot of ways to do it, right? There's four big main ways of geographic segmentation, demographic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, behavioral segmentation. And they're all useful for very different things, and they're all possible with very different data sets. One of the most pragmatic things, and I think what you'll see from big sort of standard segmentation libraries that you can buy, like Experian Mosaic, Nielsen Personas, Helix Personas, and so on. They start with census data, and so census data is based on geography down to a mesh block, which is roughly a city block. And so then what they'll do is they'll understand all the traits of, they'll group people and group them at a mesh block level, and they'll understand all those traits of people based on the census, and then they may conduct surveys to overlay behavioral or psychographic traits over the top of that. Whereas you can also start the other way around, and you're going to have a much richer psychographic segmentation. If you want to understand what people really care about, what their needs are, and so on, then you ask people what their needs are, and then you group them based on that. But then what you're going to find is that they're much less correlated to the data that you have from the census, for example. So you can't use the census to predict people's needs. And at the same time, you don't have anything like the coverage that you have of the census in the wants and needs. So they're different types of segmentation useful for different problems. So that kind of psychographic or behavioral segmentation, where you really understand a depth of how people think about their world and so on. Very useful for product strategy and understanding how you can fit into people's lives and so on. Much less useful for buying media because you can't find those people. I think there are lots of problems where the answer is segmentation. I don't think that if a company's not doing segmentation, they're a B-grade company. I think if you know that you don't have any problems where the answer is segmentation, then fine. There are lots of problems where you have some kind of engagement with the customer. They turn up in a store, they come to your website, they request a quote or something like that. And in these engagements, you could deliver the same thing to everyone, or you can deliver different things to different people. And at the crudest level, it's the same thing for everyone. At the most highly segmented level, it's the same, a different thing for every individual. And there's lots of cases where there's something in between, where I've got 5 things to choose from, and I want to know which group of people I choose this, which group of people I choose this, and so on. And that's a pretty common problem where the answer is segmentation. So I think there are lots of problems like that where segmentation is useful.